So who's excited about that? Who's excited to learn how you can raise capital for your multifamily deals without having to chase investors, beg for money, submit an offer on a deal, know how much capital you can raise, not be reliant on somebody else to bring capital to a deal? That's what we're going to talk about today. So, again, I'm your host, Stephen Lee Thomas, and that's what we're going to dive into today. We're going to talk about raising capital for your multifamily deals. This is something a lot of people really struggle with. So, I'm excited to share this with you today. So, let's go ahead and get started. I like to start on time. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna get started. All right. What I want to show you today, more specifically, if you stick around to the end, if you watch this whole thing with me, you stick around, I'm going to show you my capital raising system that's helped me raise millions of dollars and how you can copy it without experience or a track record. So before we get started, guys, I want some feedback from you. What are some of your goals? I want you to put in the chat, what are some of your goals when it comes to raising capital? Maybe you want to raise your first 500,000. Maybe you want to raise a million. Maybe it's 5 million for your next deal. But go ahead and share with me in the chat. What are some of your goals? What are some of the things that you want to do? What are some of the, where do you want to be? Raise a million, a half a million. You want to be able to raise all the money for your own deal. Go ahead and let me see that. So, all right. So we've got, a $500,000, a million and a half for your next deal. I love it. These are great goals to have. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to share with you today. I'm going to help you understand how you can actually achieve that. So now that you've got those goals, I know that we all have those goals, but I want to ask you this. What are some of the biggest challenges you're having with achieving those goals? Maybe for you, it's like you don't know what you don't know. Maybe for you, you're thinking like, oh, I got to have a deal first. Maybe you're thinking that you got to end up in the right room. Maybe you think that you're not connected with the right people. But here's what I want to share with you. Here's what's important that I want to share with you. If you've tried and failed at raising capital in the past, or if you just really struggled to get started, I want you to know it's not your fault. Okay. I'm going to walk you through all this today, but it's not your fault. Maybe you've told yourself, capital raising is just not for me. Like I'm not the right person to be raising capital. Maybe you have this big fear of, and it's holding you back from even getting into your first deal or your next deal. What if I finally get a deal and I can't even raise capital? Well, I can't raise a dime. Or maybe you've tried and you think like, I'm just doing something wrong. I'm just not going to get this figured out. Another one is, these gurus, they make, you join these multifamily investing programs. They're like, oh, it's easy to raise money, but they've got the credibility and the list and you don't. You're telling yourself that I can't raise capital because I don't have a list already. I don't have this big track record. The other thing that happens is, a lot of these apartment investing programs, what happens is you join them and they're very heavy on how to underwrite deals. And they've got one little teeny tiny section about raising capital. Or here's what's even worse is they tell you find a deal and will help you raise the capital, and that doesn't come to fruition. So I want you to know it's not your fault, okay? We've all told ourselves these things. It's not your fault. Here's the goals for today. So first of all, who is the right person to be in this training today, in this webinar? We really got this for two people. So one is you are either brand new and you're just starting out and you need a system to follow, some type of roadmap, then you're in the right spot. There's others of you who have been in the multifamily space for a while, maybe a little while, maybe a little bit longer, and you've just fell flat on your face. And you're like, man, if I could solve this one problem, this one thing, if I could figure out how to raise capital, it would change everything for me. So if that's you, then you're also in the right spot. What I'm going to do throughout this webinar, and if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you exactly how to build a capital raising machine. Is that cool? You guys excited? I'm actually going to show you the exact process that my team and I follow and how you can copy and set the whole thing up. All right. But first, I want to address this, the real challenge here, and here's probably why you are struggling. And I'm going to break this down in more detail in a little bit, but Probably what's happening is you are going about this completely backwards. You're going about this the wrong way. What I'm telling you is this traditional marketing funnel, it doesn't really work. There's a better way to do it. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. I'm going to show you how to get unstuck. And the way you do this, I'm going to walk you through, is by creating what we call an upside down marketing funnel. You're like, wait, what? A marketing funnel? And I'm going to do it upside down? Yeah, that's what I said. We're going to start at the bottom and then we're going to work our way up. And here's what's important for this training. I want you to just do one thing. Just accept this one thing, and everything else that I'm going to show you today is going to make a lot more sense. So if you can just follow me. Just take this funnel, flip it upside down. I'm going to explain exactly why that's so important, but just do that and everything else is going to make a whole lot more sense. I promise you, stick around. I'm going to explain everything. So real quick, guys, if you've never met me before, my name is Stephen Lee Thomas. I'm a multifamily investor. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a podcast host, and I'm also a business coach. And I teach people how to raise capital for their multifamily deals. I teach people how to raise millions of dollars for their multifamily deals. But more specifically, I teach people how to raise capital before they ever have a deal. Cool, right? Imagine submitting an offer on a deal and you already know how much capital you can raise. You're not chasing investors, you're going in with confidence. Who wants to feel like that? Who wants to be able to have capital on deck, ready to invest in a deal before you submit an offer? That's what I'm going to show you how to do today. And that's what I help people do. A little bit more about me and my partners. So we have been doing this for a while. I've been in the space for 7.5 years. I am full-time multifamily investor and business coach. And if you look at these deals, they are large apartment complexes. They're not duplexes. They're not triplexes. They're not 4-unit deals. These are large apartment complexes, anywhere from 70 units to a little bit over 400 units. And we've been able to go full cycle on about half of them and give our investors great returns. But here's why that's important to you is it took a lot of capital to get to that point. And the reality of it is, my partners and I, we've raised over $70 million in capital. Okay. That's a lot of money. Now, I used to think that raising capital is all about getting business cards, and it was really like this big struggle for me. My first experience, I fell flat on my face, and I only raised money from one person. That's it. Just one person. So I told myself I wasn't cut out for raising capital. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I am not good at this. Something is wrong with me. I'm doing something wrong, right? Some of those stories I was telling you before, I was that person. So I have spent years and I have spent tens of thousands of dollars figuring out how to raise capital and do it the right way. And what I learned is that raising capital, honestly, I'm going to tell you this, a lot of people get this wrong. It's not about a fancy website. And it's not about getting, thousands of leads. That's not really the secret to all of this. Everything I taught, everything I read about was actually wrong. What I learned is that I had to build my marketing funnel upside down. So I used to really struggle with this. You see me over here. This is a real photo. I remember struggling with this. And then I was able to figure this out. And this is where my partners and I were able to really move forward. Look, guys, I know my story is not unique. I am not the only person that struggled with this. And maybe for you, you know how important capital raising is, but you just don't know where to start. I know that you believe in this business. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here. But probably raising capital for you, it still feels weird. It still feels awkward. Like you don't know what to do or where to start or what to say. And that's tough for you. And maybe you've even been telling yourself, or you hear this, just find the deal and the money's going to follow. And it hasn't worked. Maybe you've even had to back out of a deal because you didn't have the money, right? How challenging is that? That is a very tough spot to be in. And nobody wants to be in that spot because you actually are losing money at that time. Okay, but before we go on further, before I start breaking this down for you, I gotta bust a few myths, a few more myths. I'm just gonna break these things down, okay? Number one is you might be telling yourself, and I just got off a phone call with somebody who was telling me the same thing, and they said, I need to have a deal before I raise capital. Bullshit, guys. I'm telling you, that is just not the case. I do it all the time where I get commitments from people before I even have a deal. They are asking me, when can I invest in your next deal? Okay. I'm not saying they wire me the funds, but there is a way to have a conversation with people to get them to want to invest in a deal that you don't even have. Okay. You can do this. The other thing here is if a deal is good, the money's going to follow. That also is not true. And the reality of it is, think of it this way. If you've got two deals that are totally identical side by side, and you've got one person who's done a great job of networking with you, teaching you, just keeping you nice and warm and nurtured, and another person you haven't heard from in a year and a half or 2 years, who are you going to go with? It is not honestly about if the deal is good. It's about building trust. I'm going to break that down for you, okay? Also, you don't need a whole bunch more leads. That is really honestly not true. And I'm going to show you how to break that belief as well. The other thing is on it, you really don't even need a fancy website. A lot of people are like, oh, I got to build a brand. I got to get a website. I got to pick the colors and my logos and all that stuff. That doesn't really mean anything. That is not why people invest. People don't invest with you because of a fancy website. People don't invest with you because of a logo. They don't do that. Okay. If those are the things you're telling yourself, stop. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into the important stuff. Let's get into why you came here today. I'm going to show you how to raise, right now, I'm going to show you how to raise $1 million or more for your next deal. I'm going to walk you through this step by step. There's really three secrets. There's three things that we're going to cover and get into today. Number one is you don't need more leads. You need a conversion system. Okay. You don't need more leads. You need a conversion system. You've got to start there. Number two is you don't need this crazy track record to start. What you have to learn to do, and this is even for people who are experienced, you've got to learn how to build trust. And number three is don't wait for a deal to raise money. You need to learn how to raise money before you have a deal. You need to learn how to get these commitments before you ever have a deal. So let's dive into secret number one. Who wants to see more about secret number one? Who wants to learn more about this conversion system? Okay, I want to see it in the chat, guys. All right, secret number one is you don't need more leads. You need a conversion system. So for my first deal, I'd spent a couple of years. I'd been going to these networking events. I've been going to these conferences, and I got all these business cards, and I keep this box of business cards on my desk as a reminder. It's always right here, okay? So I was told I had joined this multifamily investing program, this mentorship program, and they had, I think it was like 14 or 15 training modules. There was one of them that was probably not even a full hour that was on capital raising. There was all of that training, and there was about an hour on capital raising. And one of the things it said was build an investor database. So I literally built a database. I built an access database thinking, cool, this is how I'm going to raise money. I even had a coach tell me when in the program that, if I had this investor database built, that I was going to be able to raise this capital. And I thought if I had this list, no issues, no problems, easy. I've got my business cards. I built my list. I went to these events and it would work. So I got my first deal. We did the webinar. I sent out a few hundred emails, and guess what happened? That silence right now, that awkward silence, that's what happened to me. It was like crickets, like nobody got back to me. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I did everything you were telling me. I built a database. I got the business cards. I had a webinar. The deal is great. Why is nobody investing? There was actually one person, right? I got one person, but I felt so stumped. And I remember, I just thought, man, I suck at this. I even told my partners, I literally said, man, I suck at this. And they said, hey, Steven, don't beat yourself up. This is not easy. It takes some time. Just you'll figure this out. Just stick with it. All right. They didn't give me any exact tips. They just said, hey, it's all right. Fortunately, they were able to raise the capital, but I had to rely on other people to raise the capital. Here's the thing, I wasn't ready to give up. So I ended up hiring a business coach, and we worked on this for quite a while. And what I learned is that even though I'd been building this database of people, it really getting more leads did not solve my problem. That was not it. I could have got 4 or 5 more boxes of business cards and it would not have changed anything for me. Okay. So it's really like people tell me, oh, I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. My question to you is, do you even know what to do with those leads? Do you know how to convert those leads? Do you have a process to get people to say yes before you even have a deal? Okay. And that's what we learn to do. So I keep talking about this thing called a marketing funnel. So before I go a whole lot deeper, let me explain to you this idea of a marketing funnel because it was brand new to me. Like when in my program, nobody explained this to me. Nobody said, oh, the secret to raising capital is to build a marketing funnel. Never. This was actually even in the coaching, the additional coaching I got, that didn't even focus on the marketing funnel. That was more focused on, hey, let's get you this fancy website. And it did not solve my problem. Hey, let's get you these fancy videos. It did not solve my problem. So what I had to do is I went and got even more coaching. And that's when I really learned about this idea of what we call a marketing funnel. So let me walk you through that, because once you understand that, you'll understand what I'm saying. You got to flip this funnel upside down. So here is the idea of a marketing funnel. We start with awareness, we move down to interest, we get to conversion and loyalty. Now there's a few different flavors of a marketing funnel, but this is it in its most simplistic form. So awareness is really just getting people to know what it is we're doing. So maybe we have a W-2 job. Maybe we're doing something else and people don't know that we're actually in the apartment investing space. Somehow we have to get them aware of what we're doing. So we can do this through social media posts. We can run webinars, but at some point we've got to move them down to the next step. We need to get them closer to being an investor. So how do we do that? We give them what we call as a call to action. So we say, hey, download our free lead magnet or go to this webinar, right? We not only are we promoting, but we're saying do something to get a little bit closer to investing. So we always have to have this call to action, and it's like reaching through and just extending your hand out and then pulling them into the next step, pulling them into the next step. People you'll find need nudges, especially when it's something new. Give them a little bit of nudge. That's okay. You're going to help them out. So now they're aware of what we're doing and we want to try to get them interested. So we're going to start providing them some type of educational content. These might be more webinars, might be ebooks, might be through emails. But then what we're trying to do is give them another call to action, and that's book a one-on-one call. Okay. So, hey, let's have this call. Let's talk more about apartment investing. So then what we're doing is we're trying to convert them into someone who's going to invest. That's where we're going to give them an apartment investing overview. And would you like to invest in a deal in the future? Call to action. Or maybe they've already made that commitment. So now we have a specific deal, right? So, and we're saying invest in this deal. Once we've gone through that, then we need to keep them warm and ready. And we do that by doing biweekly newsletters, quarterly investor calls, asking them to invest in another deal, or even asking for referrals. All right. So this is the idea. This is a marketing funnel. You have awareness, interest, conversion, loyalty, and then you've got these things to do, but you're always moving somebody through, right? So that is a marketing funnel. We can go deep into this in another training session, but I got to move forward because I got to keep going because of the time. But here is what I want you to understand with all of this, okay? If you have not taken the time to figure out how to have that conversation, right? You got this awareness, you got people coming through, but if you have not figured out how to have that conversation and get people to say, yeah, I'd love to invest in a deal, what are you saying? What are you showing them? What are those things? Then it's like what you see in this picture. You get new leads, they get into your marketing funnel, which I didn't even have a marketing funnel. I just had an access database, right? So issue number one, but if you don't have something down here to convert your leads into a potential investor, it's like you got a hole in your bucket. It's like you got a hole in your funnel and they just are flooding out, okay? And this is why I'm saying, honestly, you don't need more leads. You need to figure out how to fix the hole in your bucket, because that way it doesn't matter how many more leads you put in here, you're going to lose them unless you figure out how to plug this funnel. So let me illustrate this a little bit differently. You may have 500 people on your list, or you may have 4. Now, I probably had 200 or 300 on my list. I got one person to convert that I didn't have any type of conversion system. But if you know what you're doing, honestly, 5 warm leads, just 5. If they each invested $100,000, that's a $500,000 in soft commitment. So let me ask you, from where you're at right now, how would things change if you figured out with five to 10 people that are already in front of you to get them to invest $50,000 to $100,000? What would that do for you? You're talking $500,000 to $1 million. like that. It's a very quick thing to do, but you've got to learn how to do it. It's not always about going and finding all these new people, because if you don't know what to say, if you don't know what to do, it's not going to work for you. Okay. So here's what I'm saying. You need to learn how to build this. I'm telling all of you, you need to learn how to build a marketing and sales funnel. That's all this is. But here's the secret. You don't start at the top. You don't start at the top, because otherwise you're going to get people into this funnel and they're just going to fall right at the bottom. So I'm telling you, you need to start right here at the bottom. I'm telling you exactly what you need to do. You need to figure out how to have these conversations, be comfortable setting up these calls, having these appointments. Okay. So how to do appointment setting, how to have one-on-one calls, and how to get soft commitments. You figure this out, everything else you do becomes a whole lot easier and way more effective. I promise you. So you're going to start here on the bottom, and then you're going to figure out, you're going to move up, and you're going to do newsletters, you're going to do webinars, you're going to do case studies. And once you've got all this stuff built, now what happens? Now what happens when you start getting new leads? You start doing free lead magnets, social media posts, maybe even running some ads. Everything you do now has purpose and meaning. And now you have a capital raising system. That's it, guys. It's really simple. You're thinking it's hard, but it's not. It's easy, okay? That's really all you have to do. So I want to give you a quick example of this, where a lot of us, we think we're overcomplicating things. We think we have all these other things we have to do. So this is Scarlett. She's part of the school community, both school communities. She's part of our group coaching program. And so she joined the program, and she called me a few weeks back, and she's like, "Hey, Steven, I got to be honest with you. I'm feeling really overwhelmed with the process. I have all these other things I got to build out. I got to, I got to build out my emails. I got to build out this sequence. I got to do my lead magnets, and I don't have tons of experience." And I said, "Scarlett, I just want you to focus on one thing right now. That's it. Just one thing, right? Just focus on getting someone on a call or meeting with them face to face, and what that conversation is going to look like. Just go have your first conversation." So it was not even 24 hours later. It was so cool. She posted this and she said, "Today I raised my first $50,000 from one of my investor friends. There's absolutely the possibility of partnering on future deals," right? So this was just a mindset shift she had to make. She was overwhelming herself with all these other things. I said, "Scarlett, just start right here and it'll work for you." So she'd honestly been in the program for like less than a week. Okay. I think it was maybe 1 week. We had just this one conversation, helped her with the mindset shift. What was really cool is actually, so we met as a group on Tuesday. She was, had a little bit of a mindset issue. Again, we had that conversation. I said, "Scarlett, I just need you to go do these things." Yesterday morning, she did it again. She's like, "Hey, I guess what? I got another soft commitment. I got another investor yesterday." And it's really just learning how to have that conversation. Okay. So if Scarlett can do it, I love Scarlett. If she can do it, guys, you can do it. Okay. So that's it. That's Scarlett. So here are some steps you can take to start building the bottom of your funnel. What I want you to do is I want you to think about the marketing funnel. You can go back and watch this video later and watch the recording, but I want you to map out your funnel. What are the steps? And I want you to start with the goal, but you're going to really truly start at the bottom. Okay. Soft commitments. How do you get those soft commitments? Work backwards, and you're going to design your trust building steps. I'm going to show you how to do that. Step number 2 is create your soft commitment assets. So this is something I love to do. I actually have a pitch deck, and it is a pitch deck that is an overview of apartment investing. It's not a specific deal. It's just apartment investing in general. Okay. I walk them through what are the potential scenarios, or what it look like if you invested in a deal. I address the problems that it solves. I address the ease of all of it. And that's how people are like, "Yep, I would love to invest in your next deal." Okay. So you create a pitch deck. You create a soft commitment form. You just ask a few questions. How much would you like to invest in the next deal? Give yourself a nice little script to follow where you're going through and, asking the right questions. And that's it. And now, you do this before you start chasing more leads. Figure this out, and it makes everything a lot easier for you. The other thing too is I strongly recommend you want to test with a small list first. You need to get practice. I'm going to say, get a list of like 10 people, all right? 10 people already in your network, family, friends, colleagues, I don't care, people you already know. And take that, and you're going to refine your system. And you're going to do this. You're going to get feedback. You're going to learn from this before you start driving cold traffic. Trust me, that's going to make life a lot easier for you. Just start with like 10 people and then go from there. All right, moving on to secret number two. So, secret number two is you don't need a track record to start, you need to build trust. So, I remember there was a night my wife and I we went to dinner with another couple, and my apartment investing came up, and I had recently got into my first deal, hadn't gone full cycle on a deal, didn't have what I would even consider a track record. And they started asking me these questions, and I was literally telling myself like this isn't going to go anywhere. They're just being nice. They're just asking about it. And I just figured they were being polite. This was the story I was telling myself was because I don't have the experience, because I don't have the track record, haven't done a few deals, they're not going to invest with me. That was the story I was telling myself. What ended up happening is before we left dinner that night, they decided to invest $100,000 in my next deal. Okay. I was not there to pitch. It was just a dinner and they asked me questions and I answered all of their questions. And they said, we want to invest $100,000 with you. Now it was like, oh, that's so awesome. Here's where everything really like started to settle for me because as we're leaving, here's what they told me. They said, the reason we're deciding to invest with you is because we trust you. Okay, so it wasn't because I had all of this experience. It wasn't because the deal had these magical numbers, right? It was like, hey, we know you don't even have a deal yet, but when you have one, we want to invest with you because we trust you. And so I learned that people, honestly, they're not investing in the deal in it of it itself. They're investing in you and your ability to follow through with your promises. That is really where it's at. Because this couple, they'd never even seen a deal. I didn't even have a pitch deck to show them, but they decided to invest with me. So after that dinner, that $100,000 soft commitment, I started thinking, well, okay, so what actually made them feel confident investing with me? Because I hadn't seen the deal. I'd barely gotten into my first deal. I didn't have a fancy track record. I didn't have a fancy brand. I didn't have a website. I didn't have any of that stuff. And like I said, the reality of it is they trusted me. And that's when I was like, okay, if that's what it is that got them to invest with me, then what I need to do is I need to create a trust building process on purpose. And so think of it like building a trust bridge. And what I learned is that capital raising, it's a lot like the image that you see here. Imagine that you are over here and you're looking to raise capital and your potential investor is over here. They're on the other side of this canyon. And you're trying to get them to walk across. There's this big leap of faith that they've got to make. Okay. So the way they're going to cross this gap right here, the way they're really going to cross this gap um, is by building that trust. If you haven't taken the time to build the trust, honestly, they're going to turn around. They're going to go find something that they have more trust, something that's a lot easier. But the reality of it is the moment that they feel safe, the moment they're like, okay, I have all of these steps in place and I have someone over here that'll help me along the way, that's when they're going to invest with you. So what you need to do is learn how to build trust on purpose. And when you do that, that's when raising capital stops feeling hard. And that's when it becomes repeatable. Okay. So I want to share another story with you. This is Janice, also part of the group. And some of you may have seen some of her posts in the school community. So Janice, she'd been part of another apartment investing program for a little over a year and didn't have any luck. Didn't ever have any offers accepted. And we started working with her. Her biggest thing was she didn't have the confidence to raise capital. After just a couple months of working with me, she was able to get partnered up on a deal. Now, maybe a month or so ago, they actually closed on a $10 million deal and she raised over $500,000. That was her first deal and she raised $500,000. Not only that, there's a bunch of other experienced people on the team and she raised, individually, she raised more than almost anybody else that was there. And she did it without having the track record. Okay. She did it without having the experience. But what we worked on is a process to help her build trust and to build the bottom of that funnel, right? Like I said, she'd never actually even done a deal before, but she raised $500,000 for that deal. And she told me recently that she probably has another $1 million of soft commitment for the next deal that she has. I mean, who wants to be in that position, right? Who do you guys want to be in that position where you're going into a deal and you know how much money you can raise? Like if you could raise $1 million for the next deal, you don't even have a deal yet, but you know you could raise $1 million, what would that do for you? Like, how would that change things for you? What would that make possible for you? What if you could build a system where you could repeat that over and over and over? How would that change where you're at right now? Okay. How would that change things for you? So let's talk about this 5 steps of building a trust bridge with your investors. Number one is be consistent. Show up when you say you will. Be consistent. Number two and number three really belong together, and that's clarity, which is good communication. Be clear on how you help them achieve their goals, and education, okay? Helping them feel smarter, more comfortable with these investments. So here's something I'm going to tell you. When you're raising capital, your job is to help someone achieve their goals. That's it. You have to understand what their goals are, what their desires are, what their pain points are. And if you can help them, then it's your job to help them. It's you, but you've got to take the time to understand their goals. That is what capital raising about. It's not about you raising money for your deal to help you achieve your goals. It's about helping investors achieve their goals. And when you learn how to do that, once again, it becomes a lot easier. Okay. So building trust, help them solve their goals, which means you need to take the time to understand what their goals are. What are their pain points? What are they trying to get away from? Okay, that's what you need to do. Follow up, stay top of mind without chasing. You don't want to be begging people for money, but stay top of mind. Number five is be real about risk and process. So this is also part about building trust is, apartment investing, I'll be honest, it's not always rainbows and unicorns. There is risk. Take the time to explain what those risks are and how you mitigate those risks. That goes a long way. And when I first started reaching out to people and attempting to raise capital, I would tell the story of everything's perfect. You don't lose money. This thing's it's a you can't lose. And people are like, it sounds too good to be true. When I shifted that and I started sharing, I know there's risk. I know these are the risk A, B, C, D, but I know they're there and this is how we mitigate them. That built a lot of trust for me. All right, let's go into secret number three. Secret number three is don't wait for your deal to raise money. You need to raise money before you have a deal. So fast forward a year or so from the first deal that I had got into. And I'd slowly been working on building my investor database, gaining these soft commitments. I'd finally figured out how to have that conversation. And one of my partners reached out to me. They had a deal and they said, "Hey, how much money can you raise?" Now, to be honest, I was very burnt from this first deal, and I didn't know if I'd be able to raise any capital. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I know I got these people who I think I can raise money from, but I don't know how this thing's gonna work out. Like I said, I just was really burnt. Here's what happened. It was a surprise to me, and a lot of them said yes. So not only did I have visibility into how much I could raise, but I just proved to myself that it was actually very possible to raise money before you have a deal. So the story I'd been telling myself that I had to have a deal before I could raise money was actually not true. It was wrong. What I learned is that by taking the time to raise money before I have a deal, taking the time to get these commitments before I had a deal was actually way easier, way more efficient than I ever thought it would be. And that was really my aha moment. So, I want you to think about this, the story of the tortoise and the hare and the tortoise, he does these sprints, he hangs out, he stops, he takes naps, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna get there." The tortoise is very steady. The tortoise just keeps putting one foot in front of the other, has a process, is going to follow, and doesn't give up. At the end of the race, the hare is just frantic, running around crazy, and actually ends up losing where the tortoise wins. So, what I'm telling you is, do you want to be the hare? Do you want to feel like this in panic mode? Because you're like, oh shit, I got this deal. I got to raise money. I don't know what to do. And you're picking up the phone and trying to call all kinds of people. And then, the people who were going to raise money, they're not there anymore. Or do you want to be like this, where you're just happy, you're content, you know what's going on because you've taken the time to build trust, do follow-up, get soft commitments, and raise capital? Because the reality of it is, if you are waiting until you have a deal to start raising capital, it's probably one of the worst things you can do. It puts you in panic mode. It makes you look very unprepared, and your pitch is going to sound very, very rushed, like you need the money right now. So if you take that and you compare that, between two deals, I'll go back to that example I had earlier where you take the time to educate, build trust, do the follow up, and somebody else hasn't done any of that, but they're like, "Hey, I got this deal," even if it looks better, like who would you choose to go with? The person who has been helping you, educating you, like keeping you top of mind, or the person you never heard from? It's going to be you. You're going to win all the time. And that's the power of getting these soft commitments, because when you've already had that conversation, the investor says, "Yeah, I'd love to see the next deal you have." That's when all of this really comes together. And I think a really good example of this is Ricardo. And he's also part of our group coaching program, and was really cool. He sent this message the other day, said, "Hey, I just submitted an offer to acquire a 42 unit apartment deal, and I'm continuing to add soft commitments." He knew going into it that he almost had $500,000 of commitment when he submitted the offer on this deal, right? He didn't submit an offer and then like, well, I'll just figure it out and hope it comes together. He knew that he already had people interested in investing in a future deal. So he continues to do things like that, where he's continuing to raise capital. So how would that change things for you? How would, if you could do this, if you could raise money before you have a deal, what would that do for you? How would that change things for you? How would that change the trajectory in your life? You wouldn't be in the position that you're at right now. You'd be up over here on the top of the mountain, which is where you're trying to be. And what happens is you've got to make the commitments to yourself to do the things to get to the top of the mountain. You got to follow that path. So here's a few things that you can do to start raising capital before you have a deal. So number one is start your investor conversations early. Don't wait. Reach out now. Start planting seeds for the future. Every time I get a referral, every time I get on the call with a potential lead, I am doing this from day one. Day one, and to the best of my ability, I'm getting soft commitments before I ever have a deal. Number two is follow up consistently. Use a light touch system. Stay top of mind, not high pressure. Okay, don't do that. Nobody likes that. Number three is pre-frame the opportunity. Set expectations about your next deal. So this is really where the magic happens when you're getting soft commitments, is you're pre-framing the next deal. You don't have it, but if I had a deal, this is what it would look like. All right. What the timeline is, what the returns are going to look like, what the structure is. You do that before you have a deal, and it makes it a lot easier because you're not trying to squish all this education into a short time frame. You're spacing that out. You're getting people very comfortable with the deal. So let's do a recap. Here's everything you need to raise capital with confidence. How to raise money before you have a deal. How to raise money without having, to chase investors or beg for money. So the way we're going to do this is you're going to start with the bottom of the funnel. You need to really focus on that conversion system. Number two is you need to build trust. It's way less about your track record and more about your ability to build trust. And then number three is slow and steady wins the race. You need to raise money before you actually have the deal. All right. So I want to ask you guys, is it all right? Can I show you how to implement this? Would you like to see what it would look like if you put this together, and a community that could help you do all of this? All right. So I like to ask permission before I start to share this type of stuff, but here's what it would look like. All right. So I know this because I've been doing this for years. Raising capital for your apartment deals, it can be hard, really hard, honestly, and it can even be very lonely. But what if I can help you? Raise your first $1 million or more without experience or a track record. Then show you how to scale that even more and do it over and over and over. And what would that do for you? And the answer is, you probably told yourself several times, man, that would really change everything for me. That's where I'm trying to be. That's what I'm trying to get. I don't want to be where I'm at anymore. I'm over this. I want to raise capital. All right. So here's what I want to do is I want to invite you to our capital raising fast track program. I want to help all of you become capital raisers. So the capital raising fast track, it's a proven framework. It's going to teach you how to attract investors, build trust, and raise money with confidence, even if you struggled in the past. So you might be asking yourself, am I a good fit for this? I don't know. Well, let's go through this. I'm going to help you decide if you're going to be a good fit for this program. So if you want to raise capital without needing a big brand or a website or even running paid ads, this is going to be a good program for you. If you're part of a multifamily team, maybe you're part of a mentorship program, but you're still struggling to raise capital, this program is going to help you out. It's specifically on raising capital. Maybe you've had investor conversations that went nowhere and you don't really know why. There's a pretty good chance we can figure that out for you and get you unstuck. Maybe you want a repeatable system that you can follow. How would that be, right? A repeatable system you can follow to build trust, get these soft commitments before you have your next deal. If that's what you're looking for, this is going to be a great program for you. If you're tired of guessing what to say or how to follow up with potential investors, we got you. We're going to take care of you. That's what this program is all about. So let me break it down for you. Let me show you how we do this. Let me show you how we help you out. So this is the process that my team and I use. We've developed this over the last several years, and this is the process that we follow to raise capital. And what we do is we help you learn how to start at the bottom of your funnel. How do you do appointment setting? How do you have those conversations? How do you get those soft commitments before you ever have a deal? We help you build the bottom of your funnel first. Then we teach you how to start nurturing these people and building this trust. Okay. We show you how to do that. We teach you the whole everything, email automations, how to do property specific pitch decks. We got templates for that. How to do recurring webinars to get new people into your funnels and start warming them up. Some advanced topics of how to build these video sales letters so people are watching your videos before they ever talk to you. And even how to build a soft commitment pitch deck. Like, what do you put into a pitch deck to get people to invest in a deal you didn't have? And then we also show you how to get more leads. So once you have all this figured out, we show you how to get more leads. What's really cool is we're building a platform to bring it all together where there's templates and everything to make it really easy for you to get this all set up. So where we used to have multiple programs, we had this software and this software and this software, we're getting rid of all of that. And we're bringing all of that under one house. And we're going to give you the templates, the systems, the software to do all of this and really get you fast tracked in the capital raising. So what I want to do is I want to show you all the things we're going to give you to help you accomplish your goals. And how are you going to raise capital with confidence? So what I just showed you, that program, so we're going to fast track you in the first 90 days. We're going to compress time for you, where you might spend years figuring this out. We're going to compress time for you with a 90-day capital raising fast track implementation program. So what is that? That's a 90-day capital raising coaching program designed to help you raise more money faster with less stress. All those things we showed you, we're going to help you build that out and get it implemented. Number two is there is a system that we're going to give you that's going to have all of these things. It's going to bring all of it together so you're not trying to manage it in a lot of different places. And there's going to be templates, and it's going to be really easy for you to get this set up. So we're going to include that in there, the software to help you get this done. To help you achieve those goals, we do weekly group calls. We do twice a week where we do live Q&A and we go over these topics, and we're there to help keep you accountable, and you get access to other people who are accomplishing these things. So the other people I was showing you, they're in the group, they're out there, they're raising capital, and you now are all of a sudden in a network of other people who are raising capital and out there finding deals. So you're solving a lot of problems. Heck, you could even partner with some of these people on your deals, okay? Now, this can get really challenging and you're like, well, I don't even know what to say. Don't worry about that. We got an AI toolkit that's really going to help you, some AI agents that are going to help really streamline the creation of all of this content that you're going to need to create and put in there to build your capital raising machine. We have a full library of all of the trainings that you can go through on your own to help get you there. So everything I showed you in that whole diagram, we have trainings on all of it. So you're going to have all of that training to refer to, plus you're going to have the group setting of other people, plus you're going to have access to me coaching and showing you how to do that and my team as well. So the other thing we're going to do is, we normally do an implementation setup fee because there is a lot to set up. I'm not going to lie, but we're going to waive that for you. So if you look at everything that's there, what does that look like? Its value is almost $25,000, $24,982, right? That's what it all looks like. But what we're going to do is we're packaging all this up and we're giving it to you for just $4,997. That is a great discount. That is a great, great, great deal for all of these things. If you take everything that I've learned over the last several years, the almost $100,000 that I've invested in coaching and learning how to do these things, that is a super great value right there. We're going to package all this up for you. But here's where it actually gets better. Because you're here, because you stuck around to the end, because you're committed to getting away from where you're at of being stuck and you want to move forward and you want to figure out how to raise capital and you want the help and you want to follow a proven system. If you're an action taker, here's what we're going to do. For those of you that are on the call today, but only for today, this deal goes away at the end of the day today. We're going to give all this to you for $2,997. Okay. That is a killer deal. Not only that, we're going to give it to you for a whole year. So that 90-day program, we're giving it to you for a year. We're still going to fast track you, but we're giving you the whole program for an entire year. So we're going to drop a couple links in the chat right now. And if you're interested in joining, what we're going to do, we've actually made this even easier for you. So one-time payment, you can do this for $2,997 and get all of these things, everything we showed you, the whole system, the training, the coaching, the group, the community, all of that for $2,997. Or if it's easier for you, you can just do monthly payments of $297. So you can get started right now today for as little as $297 and get access to everything for just $297. And that is an awesome deal that I don't want you to lose because it goes away. Like I said, this goes away tonight at midnight. All right. So pick which one works best for you. We'll get a notification. And once we get that, we're going to reach out and we're going to get you onboarded. So there's a couple links here in the chat. So one says $297 a month. There's another one there, and that's going to be for the $2,997. Okay. But let me just review. I'm gonna leave this page, but I will get it back up on the screen here in just a second. Let me just review everything that comes with the program. So we're going to give you 12 months of access. We're going to give you an entire system that has all of this built for you. And we're going to show you how to do all of it. We're going to teach you how to use all of it. We're going to give you the system to make this really easy and build yourself a nice capital raising machine. So 90-day program, we're going to fast track you and get everything set up. You're going to be part of the program for a year. You get access to the community. You get access to twice a week group coaching calls. We're going to teach you marketing and capital raising systems. You're going to get the AI toolkit to help you raise capital faster, the templates, the libraries, and all of the ongoing training. Okay. So you might be asking yourself, Steve, this is great. What happens after the first year? Actually, that's totally up to you. So if you join, instead of paying the $4,997, you're going to lock in. If you join today, you're going to lock in that price forever for $2,997 a year or $297 a month. You will lock it in forever. You'll keep full access to all the resources. You'll keep access to the training programs. You keep access to the group, all of the resources. It's going to all be there for you. Okay. So I need you to ask yourself this question. Think about where you're at right now. Think about the things you spend money on every day. And the reality of it is, for the price of a cup of coffee, you could learn how to raise millions of dollars in your real estate deals. So ask yourself, a bagel and a cup of coffee, is it worth millions of dollars? You might not be thinking it was in the past, but now you have the opportunity to really change where you're at. You have the opportunity to quit being stuck and wishing you were over here and start taking the right steps to get where you want to be, to raise $500,000, $1 million, $5 million for your next deal. That's what this is going to do for you. All right. So I'm going to bring this up again for just another moment. Like I said, this discount, guys, it's going to go away at midnight tonight. It is not going to be around forever. The price is going to go back to the full 5,000. We're inviting you in at a highly discounted rate. So you can do monthly payments of 297. Just scan the QR code, or you got the links right there. Or you can do a one-time payment of 2,997. Either one, whatever works best for you. All right. So this is a really good program. The people you saw that are in there, they were stuck. The people we saw earlier in the presentation, they were stuck. They joined the program and they figured things out very quickly. They got the right guidance. So if you're stuck, ask yourself, why are you not getting the right guidance? Why are you still trying to do this on your own? Why are you still struggling? The fastest way to achieve your goals is to compress time. This is going to compress a lot of time for you. There's this universal truth about, real estate investing and really you achieving your goals. And the biggest limiting factor to all these real estate deals is truly your ability to raise capital. If you can figure out how to raise capital consistently, then any deal that you find that makes sense, you can buy. So if that's where you want to be, if you want to figure out how to raise capital, you figure out how to get unstuck, figure out how to really accomplish your goals, you're going to be the most popular person in the room. You're going to have people reaching out to you and saying, hey, would you like to be part of my deal? I know you can raise capital and you're going to have control of the situation. Yep, it's going to cost you this much. Yep, I need this much equity. If that's where you want to be, this program is going to help you do that. So you can do that for only $297 a month. You can get started today for only $297 a month. Like I said, my team and I, we're going to get a notification as soon as you click that button. As soon as you pay that and send that through, we're going to get that notification. Or a one-time payment of $2,997. So I want to take a few minutes now. I want to go into questions. If you've got questions, drop them in the chat. I will address all of those. If you don't, that's fine. I'm going to start going through these questions. These are some of the commonly asked questions we get, and I will keep my eye on the chat. So how do I know if I'm ready to start raising capital? And the answer is you're ready right now. The only thing holding you back is really your mindset. You need to start doing this. Everybody, even if you don't want to raise all the capital for each of your deals, you need to get unstuck. Everybody needs to learn how to raise capital, because I can tell you, like, I can find deals all day long. Finding people to help raise capital is harder, and I found I just have to give up too much control of the deal. So start now. What if I don't have a deal yet? Can I still use this system? Absolutely. That's what this is for. It's to help you learn how to raise capital before you have a deal. Will this work if I've never raised money before? Yeah, that's the number one reason why people join, is they don't have a clue how to raise capital. And this is going to help you do that. This is going to just basically shortcut years off of where you're at, so you can learn how to raise this capital. How do I build trust if I'm not the lead sponsor or GP? That really doesn't matter. You're providing education to people. You're helping them realize that by investing in apartments, you can really solve a lot of problems for them. You can help them get better returns in the stock market. You can help them get less volatility in the stock market. You can help them pay less in taxes on the money they're making. I mean, those are just some examples, but that's really where it's at. Do I need a website, LLC, or logo before I can start? No, you don't. You don't really need any of that stuff to get started. That is things that you can be busy working on, but they don't move the needle. They're not really going to help you raise capital. There's a time and a place for those, but you don't need those to start raising capital. What tools or platforms do you recommend for managing investor outreach? Well, that's where I'm saying use the platform we're building, because it's got everything that you need in it to help you raise capital. Everything from the outreach scripts to the email templates to the lead magnet to the funnels, everything, it's going to be in there for you. How do I get someone from interested to actually wiring funds? Well, you do that by starting with a soft commitment. You keep them warm, you do the right things and show them a deal, and then you just walk them through the whole process. This is what you do. This is how you sign up. Easy peasy. It's actually a very easy process. What if I only have friends and family right now? Is that enough? Yeah, like I said, start with your first 10 potential people, and you're going to go have that conversation with them. The best place, start with 10 people. You can go have 10 conversations, and chances are you're probably going to get at least one of them to say yes. but you're going to get a whole lot of feedback along the way as well. How long does it take to build a soft commitment list that actually converts? For me, I'm to the point now where in about 2 to 3 weeks from the time I initially talk to somebody is until the time they are ready to invest in a deal. But I've done that by building a nurturing system, something that takes them from cold and gives them the steps they need to be comfortable making an investment. And so really you just start doing those things, and then within a few weeks, you're getting new people in and they are starting to invest. What should I say to potential investors if I'm still building my track record? The thing to say is I would be honest, but let them know everything you've learned. I would share with them your underwriting, what you're seeing. If you get partnered up with somebody, I would start sharing some of their track record and experience. So you go from, instead of saying I to saying we. And those are just some of the strategies you can implement. But actually, guys, it's actually really easy. I know a lot of people think it's really hard to raise capital, but it can actually be very easy. And this is the system, this is the process that's going to help do that for you. Okay. So, guys, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening to this. And I hope that this has really helped, give you a framework and a roadmap. And for those of you who are signing up right now to the program, I am so excited for you. You totally made the right decision. You are going to start raising capital very quickly, just like the other people we saw today. You're gonna get away from where you're at. You're gonna get unstuck. You are going to climb the mountain and be on top, just where you want to be. All right. Once again, everyone, my name is Stephen Lee Thomas. I appreciate you taking the time to join today, and I'm looking forward to working with you at our multifamily fast track program.